Welcome to SAM Conversation, an online program of South Asia Monitor. Today, our conversation is on growing radicalization in Assam and Northeast India. It is my pleasure to welcome Col Ranjit Talukdar, retired. He is an old, very experienced in affairs of the Northeast and the neighboring nations. And we have Mr. Rajeev Bhattacharya, a senior journalist, also very well versed in affairs of the Northeast and the neighboring regions. Both are located at Guwahati and comment and write extensively on Northeastern issues. In 2009, I published a book called Assam, Terrorism and the Demographic Challenge. This book brought out how, after the Assam agitation, which gave rise to the Assam Gana Pradeshad, AGP, and the United Liberation Front of Assam, the armed wing, this began to become very powerful by indulging in extortion and the very cause which it was championing once President's rule was clamped in late 89, 90. This group escaped from Assam to Bangladesh, which was, letting down the very cause of the agitation, because the foreigners that they were referring to were Bangladeshis who were coming and settling into Assam. As soon as they went to Bangladesh, they came under the grips of the Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence, ISI, which was in great strength in Bangladesh because it was under the Bangladesh Nationalist Party's regime. And very soon, they made inroads. ISI had never been able to make any inroads into the Northeast till it got the assistance cooperation of the Alpha. And then began an acceleration of the illegal induction of Bangladeshis who were not only inducted but made to settle. And in 2009, the situation was such at the time that this book got published that there were at least 8 districts of Assam where the demography had shifted. By the time the BJP came into power in 2014, almost 12 districts of Assam, the demography had shifted. The Alpha was very, very helpful to the Congress governments in getting them re-elected again and again. And the Congress government, repeated Congress governments in Assam, legalized, a lot of Bangladeshis by issuing them ration cards. Anyway, a lot of water flew down the mighty Brahmaputra till recently. In recent years, a wave of radicalization began in a very big way with the Al-Qaeda's Indian element coming into play, and also a group from Bangladesh. Without delving much more, I will request discussants to throw a lot of light on what is happening, what should be done. Colonel Talukdar.
Sir, what you said, sir, is very correct. The whole of, I would call it Northeast, and in particular Assam, is in the grip of the Islamist radicalization. If you give me just 30 seconds, I'll just cover a little bit of a history and then come back here. You know, the Muslims came, the earliest Muslims came into India sometime in 1206 when Delhi Sultanate tried to reach Nepal through Assam. But they were defeated and very few left here. But sometime in 12th century, the Ahom king in fact invited one of the Sufi leaders, and he came here, Azan Pir, and settled down in Sibsagar, and that's how they started converting certain Muslims, people into Muslim Islam. That's how it started coming. And thereafter, of course, the Muslim invasion from one after the other, the Bengal, either from Bengal or from Delhi. And finally, when it was in 1781 from Itakuli battle, which was fought during the just before Lachit Barphukan to recapture Pragjyotishpura or Guwahati, then that they were thrown out. And then the subsequent attempt of 17 times Mughal in trying to invade Assam was finally lock, stock and barrel. The Aurangzeb's army was beaten by Lachit Barphukan, the great general, in one of the earliest amphibian battles of the world. Now, having said that, the Muslims have been coming, and there have been a large number of Muslims before partition. Bengal, East Bengal, and the East Bengal. From East Bengal, the people had been coming into Assam, particularly Lower Assam. Some tidbits with the Koch kingdom. They also ruled for some time, even Guwahati, and that is how the Muslims settled down here. Now, these Muslims forms the original Muslims, I will call them, or the indigenous Muslims, which were very few earlier, but today they are just about 40 lakhs out of about 1.4 crores as the figures that are available with us. Now, having said that, it was 9 to 85 agitation that the entire Assamese people understood, and then
if you can please.
Yeah, I'm shorting
Rajeev
out.
Bhattacharya to throw.
Okay, I think Bhattacharya. I think you have to speak.
Yes,
thank you.
We'll come back to you. We'll come back to Colonel Talukdar. Mr. Bhattacharya, please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity to speak a few words. Okay, sir. Now, so far as Al-Qaeda is concerned, we find certain new features of Al-Qaeda in Assam. So far, there is no, most importantly, sir, there is no evidence to suggest that this module is linked to the ISI. Most important, Al-Qaeda, what we call the ABT, Ansarullah Bangla team.
Well, I'll put it this way. The ISI and Al-Qaeda are very old associates. They are very old associates, right from the time Al-Qaeda came into Afghanistan. So that relationship cannot wither away.
So far as this module is concerned, sir, I'm talking about this module. This is concerned, ABT. ABT, so far as my sources say, it is a very
could you please give us the full form of ABT? Full form of ABT.
Ansarullah Bangla team. It is affiliated to
Ansarullah Bangla team. Yeah.
It is affiliated to AQIS, Al Qaeda in Indian subcontinent.
Yes. Yes.
Now, my sources tell me that this group in Bangladesh is very loosely structured.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, some very few people trying to control the activities of this loosely structured group. This doesn't have any connection, so far as my sources tell me, doesn't have any connection with Afghanistan. or with Al Qaeda, whoever will take over now as the head of the Al Qaeda.
That's fine. That's fine. But the
So
fact
now,
remains that both these groups are active presently
the ABT.
in Assam.
I'm coming to that, sir. What I'm coming to that point wise now, so far ABT has no linkage with ISI. That's what my point. I'm going to go by the
That's
facts.
okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Number one. Number two, since April, according to Chief Minister, 5 modules have been busted. Now, on the basis of whatever evidence we gather from the modules, these things become very clear. They are very extremely dedicated and organized. Some people coming from Bangladesh, settling down in Assam, marrying and trying to identify potential recruits. This shows a greater degree of commitment and indoctrination. That is number one. Number two, engagement of women. Now, in Assam, we know, or in the Northeast, women have got engaged with various ethnic insurgent outfits. But so far in Assam, only 2 women have been arrested for engagement with Islamist radical groups. This is the second case, Jahura. So this is very important. They have taken this strategy of engaging women also. This is number 2. Number 3. Earlier, the modules were busted in urban centers or in rural areas. But for the first time, this time police in Dhubri had to go to a remote chore area, Riverine Island, and arrest some people from there. So this is the first time that they have identified some riverine islands. There are approximately
Chore areas are riverine islands.
Yes. Yeah. Now there are different categories of chores. Now there are approximately 2,000 chore areas, out of which almost 2/3, I would say, this is a rough figure I'm telling you, the government has no or semi-presence, a little amount of presence. In many chores I have seen them for myself. There is only a school and no government presence. These people survive. They survive by themselves. During the monsoon, many chores get wiped out. They move on to other places.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Nobody. Assam police in 2018 or 19 had carried out a survey also. So these modules have, as has been evident so far, these modules have also started focusing on the chores. So these are the 3-4 new aspects which do not tell you with the previous modules. Now, 2 years back, or maybe 1.5 years back, one JMB module had been busted. Earlier to that,
those please modules, give out the full form.
Jamatul Mujahideen. There are 2 groups of JMB, the old JMB and Neo JMB. One affiliated to Islamic State. Now, this is the second phase. During the first phase, which began in the mid-90s, there was ISI's involvement. ISI started floating some indigenous groups like the Malta, Muslim United Liberation Tigers of Assam. ISI tried to prop up some indigenous Islamist radical groups among the Bengal origin Muslims. Sir, I'd like to tell you that when Colonel Talukdar was mentioning about Muslims, there are 3 categories of Muslims in Assam. Hindi speaking, the Assamese Muslims, the Bengal origin Muslims. Again, Bengal origin Muslims can themselves be divided into different categories. Those who came before 51 to 71, post 71. There are different categories. So just saying a Muslim as a blanket term, this is not a very proper way to designate the whole community. There are different categories. Now, Supreme Court case is going on. The lead to challenging the 71 cutoff year, the lead has been taken by Motiur Rahman, who is an indigenous Muslim.
Yeah, Mr. Bhattacharya, I will request you to come to the present because we don't have much time.
Yes, sir.
So please come to the present way, which has led to the government banning some madrasas. I think there's an audio problem. Colonel Talukdar, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, sir. Actually, I have been little misunderstood, I think, by him. My idea is, I said that the fundamentalist group of Islamists have made inroads into Assam now, and that there are 2-3 types of Bangladeshis. One is the indigenous ones who have now been legally, given some kind of protection and recognition, and they are very much nationalistic. They are very much a part of Assamese culture and all that. And some Bengali people, yes, they are there. They are also into bits and pieces. And the Mia, the people who have migrated at a later portion, or the immigrants, they form the larger part. And most of these madrasas where education, the Mia children, most of them go into these. And the indigenous people, their children very rarely are found in madrasas. These Mias who are, as per some documents now in the 2021, are about a crore. And out of that, only some are illegal, and all this, whatever NRC has done, and NRC is whether true or not, or correct or not, is all debatable question. But what
Are
I'm
you
trying to
referring?
say is that people have come into madrasas.
Are the legal ones?
The legal ones means about 40 lakhs. They say they are the indigenous laws.
No. Can you clarify? By legal? Can you clarify? Are these
No,
the
I'm not
ones
saying
who were given
legal term may not be a very,
ration cards by the Congress?
no, the legal may not be a very correct word. Legal means if they have got citizenship, then they are, all of them are legal. I'm just talking about two groups where, except those who have been declared by the courts as Bangladeshis or immigrants, rest all are, as long as we cannot prove it, they have to be considered as legal. Illegal, I would call it that those people who have come from Bangladesh and have settled down, and we term them as Mias. These Mias constitute the major population. Their children are the bulk who are in these madrasas, and the madrasa teachers, they are finding it a good place. Now there have been 4 cases, there may be more. So more vigilance is required, so that these children, whose in some cases even the nationality is a question mark, these are the lot who are likely to go away and join these, or maybe a part of this AQIS or the ABP.
No, I'm afraid we've lost a lot of this because of a bad audio.
Yeah. So therefore, that people have been now found in Barpeta, in the Dhubri and Golpara area. Even in Golpara, the locals, of which the indigenous Muslims or the Muslims who are part and parcel kind of have attacked or destroyed this what you call place of education, because they found that the unauthorized or illegal education is being given on terrorism or on fundamentalism. So that kind of thing is, since large number of places, very difficult to monitor them, what kind of education is being given. So the steps taken by the present government to give proper education as per the syllabus of the state is probably a good sign, so that the children get proper education rather than only fundamentalistic or only religious education. So my worry is that it is very, very difficult to monitor where such elements have entered, and that we have already got the Al Qaeda and the Amanullah group people working here. I agree that this Amanullah group is not a very cohesive group, or ISI is absolutely there under the ISI in Bangladesh, but they are there, and it is a fundamentalist group which is against the very ethos of India, the very ethos of the Assamese socio-cultural society. So therefore, we are worried, and very much worried. And with the population rising, say from about 12% in 1901 to 40+% in 110 years or 12 years now, just in a century, 40-50%. After another 50 years, the whole of Assam would be fundamentalist. I don't say fundamentalist, Islamist population coming. I would not like to call all of them fundamentalists or something, but majority of them, we can see even today, Assam Assembly, whenever there are discussions, A lot of people talk, in a different tone, which that is not very, very conducive to our ears. So therefore, I would say that it is time that a proper monitoring is done in all the madrasas where teaching is done, which is the steps have been taken, very strong steps by the chief minister. But I would also say that the educated, the indigenous Muslims who are absolutely part and parcel of our culture and everything. In fact, they are as good or even more at times as far as the things are concerned. So they should also take active part so that these radical elements do not form a part. Goalpara was an example where these people went and identified the madrasa and they attacked the madrasa because some people were there giving this kind of education, as I read in the newspaper. So, to my mind, with 1 crore Miyas, out of which a large number of them have already been identified as non-persons non grata, the number, as per people say that it should have been more, should have been more, and therefore some demands of going into re-verification in certain districts. But let that be that part. What I am interested is in the radicalization part. And radicalization part is going on. We have been able to catch, and we should be more critical, and our eyes and ears should be open so that no kind of radicalism can survive in the state of Assam. That is what I would like.
Can you quickly, because we don't have much time, can you quickly give out any other observations?
Sir, my observation is that today, although in Goalpara, the indigenous and of course the local Muslims have destroyed a place where they found that unauthorized people were there, madrasa. But by and large, I would like to request the indigenous Assamese Muslims to come out more vigorously so that it becomes little easier to keep a tab on where such radical teachings are going on. And the Mia community, whose identity still is in question mark, although some of the large number of them have already got, as has been told by my predecessor, they have got their citizenship, but their integrity to motherland, to Mother India, is at a question mark, I would call it. So there is a possibility because of money factor or no job or religious persuasion, they would like to get into nefarious activities. They would like to get sleeping agents by getting married to certain Hindu girls or that way, and be establish a good link so that from Bangladesh there is a route towards Pakistan, Afghanistan, and beyond. And that probably is a larger chapter in their mind that yes, we must from Myanmar, Bangladesh, through Assam, and then like this Bengal, UP, we have a corridor.
Thank you, Colonel Talukdar. Thank you. Any quick point, Mr. Bhattacharya?
Well, sir, I believe we are already late. As I have said, Assamese have failed themselves. Assamese doesn't need to have any enemies. Assamese are the biggest enemies. Frankly speaking,
anyway, whatever actions the Assam government has taken, are they going to bear fruit?
Of course, sir. I mean, these actions should have come 50 years ago.
Yes, I agree. They come. I agree. They come better late than never. Better late than never.
My father warned, sir. My father, as an IPS officer, he warned this thing and he was victimized, as I've told you. My father was an IPS. He was DIG border. That was 78, 79. Now, sir, it's already late. So now what is possible in many aspects, it is rearguard action. Now, what the government is doing now, sir, let me tell you, I appreciate the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has decided to hear the case. This issue is linked to the case in Supreme Court, which is why I'm again referring to this case. If the cutoff law for citizenship in the entire country is 51, why should it be 71 for Assam? This is being challenged by some indigenous groups led by Motiur Rahman. So let the Supreme Court, I'm grateful to Supreme Court. We as we should be grateful because the Supreme Court has decided to take up the case now. Let it be decided. Now, once that is decided, again and again, I'm telling you, we don't have preventive measures. This is the task of the Home Ministry. Assam government's responsibility is not to guard the border. It is the Home Ministry. Now my phones are going to be tapped, put under surveillance just because I'm mentioning the name of Home Ministry. But the fact is a fact. It has to accept the failures. Election Commission and Home Ministry, they have harmed the maximum to Assam, done maximum harm to Assam. I am willing to come for a debate, open debate, let them come. I am armed with facts. So now wake up. This is not Madhya Pradesh. This is not Gujarat. This is Assam, the most crisis-prone state in the country, most strategic state. It connects, the Northeast connects 4 countries. It's a very strategic place. It's a most crisis-prone state in the country. One has to understand that. Now, don't treat Assam. This cannot be Haryana or Gujarat.
I think. Thank you, Rajeev. You, I think, brought that out very, very clearly, and thank you for that. Col Talukdar, quickly, any point to add?
Sir, what I'd like to say is that it is time now. Time is out now. All out effort must be made by the Ministry of Home, by the state government, and by the civil society to thwart in all kinds of nefarious activities going around, particularly in the state of Assam, which is most vulnerable. And population control. There has to be something to do with the population control strongly, urgently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last point, sir. Sir, last point.
Very quickly, Rajeev. Yes, very quickly.
Assam must have 2 categories of citizens, like Himachal, like Nagaland, Arunachal, Mizoram. There must be 2 categories of citizens. Like nobody can buy land here. Assamese indigenous people must have constitutional protection now. Otherwise, Assam will be gone. Don't compare Assam with Madhya Pradesh. This is not Madhya Pradesh. This is Assam. Most crisis-prone state and very vulnerable, as Colonel Talukdar has said. It's very difficult to understand Assam. Even now, even after reporting for 25, 26 years, we don't understand many things, sir. This issue is linked to many other issues, including the case in Supreme Court, NRC, voters card, voters ID, many
NRC,
things.
you mean? Please explain. Elaborate NRC.
Sir, NRC, National Register of Citizens.
National Register of Citizens. Thank you, Mr. Bhattacharya. Thank you, and
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think
Thank
some very, very important points have been brought out, and as we see, some stringent actions are being taken. One only hopes that it is sustained. That this, drive to weed out those who are creating radicalization, who are enhancing radicalization, is restrained and nipped in the bud. We cannot afford to let it succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.